The world has changed. Businesses who survive and thrive in this market do business differently. Today, we're going to explore some of the shifts around how people are engaging with values in a business setting. And I'll share a few ideas with you on how you can dust off your current articulation of company values and allow them to take the role they deserve and demand in the current market. When captured honestly and used effectively, your company's values drive behaviour, culture, and decision-making. They set the boundaries on what is and isn't up for negotiation. And they also play an important role in positioning you in the market in ways that are authentic and help differentiate you from your competitors. If your company values are being ignored because they've been relegated to the soft and fluffy bucket, or overlooked because they're seen as a ticker box meaningless checklist, it's time to reevaluate your current articulation. A powerful shared understanding of your values is crucial for the long-term success of your business. If we take a little look at the shifts in expectations around the role of values in business, I have the benefit of having been in the mix of a values-driven approach to business for nearly 30 years. I was fortunate enough to have been introduced to the idea in the mid-90s by one of my mentors, Trevor Thomas, who I then had the privilege of working alongside at Ethinvest for a short but pivotal period in my career. What that means is that while the changes and shifts we're seeing gaining traction with consumers, employees, investors, and the regulatory or compliance-based movements seem new for most business leaders and consultants, for me, they've been a long time coming. That gives me a practical advantage because I have more data points, experience, and patterns to call on when I speak into how to anticipate and mitigate risk in this area, as well as how to spot and leverage opportunities. One shift that has been interesting to observe is the move towards more public sharing of company or even personal values. Consumers want to connect with brands that share their values and beliefs. In fact, 64% of consumers are now belief-driven buyers who want brands to deliver on societal issues as well as products or services. That number rises to 89% if we look at consumers who say they're more likely to buy from a brand that makes a positive difference. This shift in the attitudes and expectations of consumers needs to be considered in light of the fact that those same consumers will no longer accept lip service or blatant hypocrisy demonstrated by a disconnect between what a business says and what they do. If we rewind a decade to when I was running an incubator for businesses that had a social or environmental mission at the heart of what they did, I regularly advised business leaders not to use their mission or values in a customer-facing way, as at that time it was almost never something that featured in the value proposition for why a customer would buy from you. Certainly not in the long term. Anyway, sometimes a customer would buy from you once or twice because of a cause or wanting to do the right thing. But back then, there was both a stigma and a pattern of those who led with values and mission failing to build a broad base of customers, and it was more likely to keep you niche than strengthen your business model. But that's changed now for multiple reasons and on multiple fronts. After decades of rampant disregard for planetary constraints or responsible stewardship of resources, people and the planet have now taken that megaphone back from a profit focus that has dominated airtime since the 70s and 80s. If you know me, you know that I'm not one to demonise profit. But just like the attempts to frame profit maximisation as strong, rational and logical approaches to business have shaped the business world for the last few decades, that same macho blindness mistakenly labelled values as soft and irrelevant. It's the shallow, one-dimensional and misguided approaches to business that I want to offer an alternative to. I want to remove the layers of dust that have obscured the important role of values in business and restore them to their rightful place as a guide and foundation for running a robust business. Let's explore the power of values in business through the idea of seeing them as a cheat code. Now, I like the idea of tapping into values as a cheat code in business for a few reasons. Firstly, at my core, I'm a both and person. So anything where there seems to be a contradiction appeals to me. Combining values and cheating feels a bit cheeky, so it caught my eye. But in all seriousness, here's a few reasons why I framed this exploration on values in business around the idea of them being a cheat code. Unlike straight up cheating, which of course is unsportspersonly and not to be encouraged whether in life or business, cheat codes are created by the game developers themselves. They're like a secret password that gives you unusual abilities or helps you advance in the game. Whether it's skipping levels, having access to additional supplies, or even superpowers and invincibility, cheat codes sound rather appealing to me. If we think about values like this, I think it helps us tune in to the advantages they open up that would otherwise be off limits in terms of results, engagement, speed, and level of commitment that can be tapped into when we seek out and step into values in business as a cheat code. Given recent research shows 91% of small business owners and decision makers are experiencing business-related stress that is affecting their mental health, an injection of a superpower that allows us to leapfrog and fast-track results couldn't come soon enough. In order to access the cheat code, you need to start by typing in the following wise words from Patagonia founder Yvon Chouinard. You are what you do, not what you say you are. Congratulations, step 1 is complete. Now you need to go on a search to uncover the areas in your own company values that are keeping you trapped and unable to utilize the cheat code of meaningful values. Step 2 search shouldn't be that hard. What are your company's core values? Don't analyze or critique them, just grab them and write them down so that you can sit with and reflect on them. Simon Sinek says values are who you are at your natural best. I agree with him, but it goes deeper than that. Over the years, I've realised that the very act of living out my values is a way for me to consistently create the conditions I need to be my best and show up in my brilliance as the fullest, truest expression of myself. I believe the same is true in our businesses. While Simon Sinek's framing of values as who you are at your natural best is a helpful starting point to ensure we're naming values that are inherently true and are already present in our business, when you add in the aspect I just shared with you, it adds a richness and urgency to why we must prioritize values in our business. If you name your values in a way that resonates as genuine and reflects the lived experience of those who work in or engage with the business, that unlocks the first element of the cheat code. But you can level up far more by then intentionally designing a culture that incentivizes the behaviour and creates the conditions that make it easier for people to live out those values than to stray from them. If you model, highlight, reward, and reinforce the behaviour that is your values in action, you create a self-reinforcing loop. That's because as people live in alignment with those values, they are surrounded and supported by the very conditions that allow them to be who they are at their natural best, as Simon Sinek would put it. Think about it for yourself. When you are in flow and operating from a place of alignment, doing the things that serve and support you become easier and more likely to be the things you consistently choose to do. But when you instead find yourself in anti-flow, the opposite is true. It feels like the effort required to do what's needed is epic and beyond what you can manage. It's hard to be motivated and easy to be impulsive, short-sighted, and reactionary. After having studied and practiced multiple approaches to conceptualizing, capturing, and cultivating values in both business and personal settings, I've found that it's the combination of the power of accurately naming your values, describing them in action so that you add flesh on the bones of what those values look like in action, combined with an intentional cultivation of the conditions that see those values woven into every element of life, from the minor to the major. That combination is what unlocks the cheat code of values in business. More than ever, people are looking for values alignment and scrutinising any gaps between what businesses say and do. Current and future employees are looking to work for a company they're proud of and that aligns with their own values. Consumers can span from wanting to back companies that they feel a shared identity with, through to a skepticism built on empty statements from businesses that have left them wary. Engaging with values in a meaningful way and sharing them authentically can provide numerous competitive advantages in highly competitive and volatile markets. I hope you're inspired to dust off your values and re-examine them on the back of this exploration. I'd love to hear how your reinvigorated values allow you to level up and prove to be a superpower that makes you and your business invincible. Remember, businesses that survive and thrive in this market do business differently. Embrace what makes you unique and live your values in a way that differentiates you and draws customers, employees, partners, investors, and anything else your business needs into your orbit. Business isn't a zero-sum game. You can create a win-win.